It's day 2 on our 30-day Pokopia Cloud Island, and the Pokemon Center is complete. I literally just spawned in, and everyone was pretty excited to see me, mostly because it means they get to go walk around again. I guess we'll just start by letting them announce to me that it is finished, and we can now see it in all its Pokemon Center glory. Prepare to be amazed! Ta-da! There it is. Oh my gosh, finally. So, as far as I'm concerned, this thing is now ready to move to a new location. So great. Fantastic. As I was spawning in though, I saw that my security camera was popping off. We have 2 habitats that are moving and shaking right now. First up on the list, we have a new Pokemon named, starts with a V, I think. Vibrava. Vibrava? We'll go with that. That only leaves 1 left for this particular habitat, so we're making good progress over here. And I guess this is that was it. This will be the only other Pokemon that could possibly spawn in this habitat. Say hello to Flygon. There we go. It's Flygon. Perfect. Okay, so we got both of them, and we can eventually move them. I'm not in a hurry. And now that we have like our initial Pokemon kind of set up in little habitats. Oh, Bulldoze as well. I didn't even know that. Now that we have our initial Pokemon set up in, their habitats and stuff, I can start working on the more infrastructure-y projects around the island and prioritize new spawns a bit less. I kind of tend to do this in Pokopia. I get just like the bare minimum going. And in this case, I did more than the bare minimum in terms of new Pokemon. Now we got Charmeleon, excellent. But the idea is once I have all the Pokemon I need, I can then start to plan out and build things. We have Pokemon that'll drop all sorts of resources for us. We have Pokemon that can help us build things. So we're in good shape to just kind of like focus on what I wanted to focus on today, which was we are going to lay out a town. Am I going to lay out the entire thing today? Probably not. There's a lot of land that needs terraforming and things like that, but we are going to get like a base layout done so that we can move the Pokemon Center and then potentially put up some buildings and stuff pretty quick here. Looking at my stamps, I have another Arcanine stamp, which I will replace this Meowth one with. I don't know if having 2 of the same stamp is as good as having 1 lesser stamp than another, but, whatever. And then we should have some money here. Yeah, ooh, nice. 700 coins for that. I did spend some before I came here today on a couple new recipes that were in my shop. And then here, ooh, fancy pen recipe. I've never even seen this before. We got to use this somewhere. So yeah, I bought a couple new things from my own personal shop in my single player game. And now I got some catching up to do on money making. Another item that's available to me right now is the Gravestone, which does spawn a number of Pokemon. And I don't think I can craft one yet. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. And it's always nice to have some seeds for different plants, so I'll buy the Stylish Hedge seeds. Not sure when I'll use them, but now we have them. Today we'll also be going to another Dream Island. We have a Dragonite doll here, so we have gone to a Dragonite Island. We're going to go somewhere else this time. I think I'm going to save the Arcanine Island as one of the last ones, because this has, in my opinion, like the best resources. I think this is where we get like iron and gold and stuff. And we'll go to maybe an Eevee one today. That should be good. I was going to say the reason I'm saving the Arcanine one is because I don't have my upgraded Rock Smash because I used it all yesterday. Turns out I do. I guess I was wrong about that. I don't know how it works, I suppose. The way I thought it worked is that I ate a really good food in my single player game and I brought the benefits of that to my Cloud Island. But I didn't eat anything. I logged out yesterday, and now I've logged in today, and my Rock Smash was not with a gold bar, right? I didn't have it maxed out. We got Machop finally. I called it earlier, yesterday, but I was wrong. But now we have Machop. And Machop can both build and gather, which is pretty helpful. But yeah, so I guess when you start a new day on a Cloud Island, it kicks you off with a fully charged Rock Smash. Which is good to know, because I was also avoiding the Arcanine Island because I don't want to be, met with any pushback when I'm trying to collect materials. It's like, well, your Rock Smash isn't good enough to collect these. I don't quite have a farm set up yet. Ooh, and I was going to do that yesterday. I completely forgot. All right, so order of operations here. Let's start the day by planting these potatoes like I was going to do yesterday. To do this, I'm going to dig a trench right here, and we are going to simply plant 8 potatoes around it. I'm going to go grab some water and put it in the trench. That'll have, our crops watered for us, and that should be good enough for now. And the next Dream Island we go to, hopefully we find a new crop, like tomatoes or beans. Ideally beans would be awesome, so we can make burgers. And before you know it, we'll have all the crops. These potato plants are all kind of in different stages of growth right now. I don't really mind that they are not all evenly growing at the moment. I'll just kind of start with the ones that are most grown and go down to the ones that are least grown. There we go. Now let's get our water, and we will throw it in here where it fills everything up perfectly and waters our crops for us. Excellent. Next, let's buy the kit that will allow us to relocate the Pokemon Center. Doing a demolition or a relocation is very cheap in both cases. It's just 10 coins. And instead of costing materials, it only has us just gather up Pokemon. And we already have the Pokemon we need to do it, including a Pokemon with Bulldoze. That is important. And now it appears we have a number of Pokemon with Bulldoze, which is also very helpful. I'll just go ahead and grab a few of you. And I should have remembered that Trapinch is going to be the slowest one out of all of them. You know, they've just got tiny little legs. I can't expect much here. It won't even let me rotate the camera in this screen to see where they're at. But once they get here, we'll be able to start preparing the Pokemon Center. Now, if you've never moved a Pokemon Center before, it's pretty safe to do because even when the Pokemon Center isn't here, you still have access to your PC and everything else on this platform until the Pokemon Center is like moved fully. Then that's when this stuff actually moves. But at no point are you without your PC or anything like that. You always have it at the ready. So we have this going, and now while it's being built, I can do one thing as just a reminder to myself. I need a block, just one block. And I can take this block and determine that, yes, the Pokemon Center appears to be an even number of blocks across. And that's important because we are trying to make paths around this thing, and we want to make sure that they are going to be nice and centered. I love symmetry whenever I can afford it. So my goal is to make sure that if we're building this, that the paths going to it are symmetrical, and the paths around it are also symmetrical, and everything is perfect. Everything must be perfect. You know, the natural state of a building is it's built in a mathematically perfect place. And that's what we're going to be providing for it. As it gets built, I get to decide how I want the paths not only laid out, but like what material I want to use, how I want these paths to look. And lately, I've been using the stylish stone flooring for a couple of reasons. One, it's cheap, but two, it is quite stylish. And this block in particular is really nice because it has a unique texture on both the top and also the sides. But then there's also the stone tiling block, which is also just as cheap and has a more uniform look to it. It's just big brick tiles. They look really good. I think because I've been building with it a lot lately, and also I don't exactly have concrete or anything like that, I think the stylish stone floor is what I'm going to go with yet again. If you've been watching the streams, you're probably tired of me using this same exact pattern over and over again, but I'm going to assume a lot of you aren't watching the streams. You absolutely can. I stream the game here and there on YouTube and on Twitch, but, you know, we're going to pretend that I don't for a minute so that I can enjoy using these and pretend I've never used a block like it before. As it stands right now, this is where I said the Pokemon Center would be. Obviously, this is not centered because the Pokemon Center is an even number of blocks, and this is just a one tile wide area at the moment. Then we also have to contend with like other areas that our town will eventually lead out to. So right now, the plan is to put the Pokemon Center there, and then if you look out into the vast distance, we're going to be laying out plots for houses and things like that, for buildings. And when I look at that, and I just feel the distance between that Pokemon Center there and where it's going to be, it's not that far. Therefore, this is not a very big town. So I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm thinking, should I move it back a little bit farther, like terraform a little bit of this? Or should I try to keep the terraforming a little bit lighter and maybe leave some of the hills here so I can use them to my advantage in terms of like making staircases and really pretty overlooks and things like that? I don't know. I'll probably do somewhere in between. For now, I'm just going to trust the process. Past me chose the spot for a reason. I'm going to assume the Pokemon Center is here, and we're going to build a path off of that. Our path is going to be 4 tiles wide, and our Pokemon Center should come up right up to it. No problem. And I'm going to try and put the Pokemon Center, when I have it in my pocket, back against this mountain as far as I can before feeling like I need to start actually like terraforming it. I'm going to cover this back up now that I kind of have the entrance plotted out, and we'll still have the plus sign there if we need it. I might bring this path a little bit forward. Just depends on where the platform kind of lands. But yes, this right here is what I'm thinking for the very front of the Pokemon Center. We'll get our nice wide 4-tile path kind of placed down, and we'll kind of call this Main Street for now, I guess. This is our main road, and it can go quite a distance, I think. I'm going to have a lot of extra grass to work with to kind of fill this in. I will probably flatten like the main area of town before leaving some hills and stuff to play with later. So yeah, it's just kind of a matter of like how big do I really want this main street to be? Off of this main road, we are going to create various plots for different buildings. Some of them prefabs, some of them made of blocks, and I want to be careful of future projects, meaning I don't want to like close off this grid to the point where it feels like there's no good road for leaving town and going to another area. So I need to decide for myself now-ish where this path should go in terms of like, you know, an open-ended artery. So maybe, for example, it goes this way, right? And we don't necessarily put any buildings along it, but we just kind of have the path go this way. And eventually, it's going to lead to a staircase that kind of goes up here, and we end up building something like over here, right? I think that could be kind of cool, and it could lead us to, you know, even more interesting areas of the map. I am trying to develop pretty much the majority of the map, right? So thinking ahead to where I'm going to end up going in the future is pretty important to make sure we do this right. If we make one kind of wide road that goes off this way, it makes sense to actually make another one that goes this way. And the reason being is because we'll probably have one that goes here and then eventually goes up through this biome. So that'll be two major roads going to two major biomes. And I may not even use paths, by the way. I could end up using rails to travel these greater distances, because do I really feel like I'm going to put buildings along this entire way? Probably not. But we'll want to be thinking about ways out of town as we build this. So yeah, it could be that there's a train station over here and maybe a big wide road that goes over there and leads to a larger project we do by that mountain. All kinds of cool stuff we can do. A user from our Discord server, Jess, showed me this really cool path and on stream invited me to steal the design. It ended up looking awesome. I really, really like it. And I don't want to do exactly the same thing again with like cobblestone, but I do want to do something similar whereby I put a border around this path and then I could put the little concrete borders around it like Jess has here. They look really, really good. And, you know, all of that's being considered when I say the Pokemon Center needs to wait until I kind of decide what my path borders are going to look like. The Pokemon Center's platform has these rounded corners, and just under these rounded corners, you can see a wooden platform, and you can see it because the wood colors are a different shade than the wood on this actual platform. And those are just regular blocks. I can craft those blocks and place them anywhere. The problem is once you put the Pokemon Center down, you cannot replace these corners. And I've fallen prey to this too many times, and I've been trying to sit here and think, what blocks could I want under my Pokemon Center so that I don't have to pick it up and move it again later on? And I've been going back and forth. I think what I would like to do is try and find a wood. Oh, there it goes. There, it's gone. Try and find a wood that matches this as best I can, and just try and like get rid of, in essence, get rid of the rounded corners by using a similar wood. The fact of the matter is, I don't know what kind of path I'm going to end up doing. Not in terms of like the blocks I'm using, but where it's going to all land. And I would like the path to look like it's kind of going underneath the Pokemon Center, but I don't know how the layout is yet. So it would make a lot more sense for me to at least have these corners set up to where I like the final design. So let me just see. If I put this down, that wood is far too light. This hardwood flooring looks like it could be pretty similar though. If we put this here, indeed, that's a pretty close match. So I think for moving the Pokemon Center right now, I'm going to make a border that is this type of wood. And that way, at least it looks cohesive, regardless of what paths I put around it, where the corners of those paths end up, so on and so forth. It's just a problem I don't want to deal with later on, even though it doesn't take too long to tear this thing down and put it back up. Again, I just don't want to mess with it. All right, so we can pick up the Pokemon Center from here, and we can go bring it to its new location. If I take it out of my pockets, it looks like I've basically perfectly set up this path to where I don't have to worry about bringing it any closer. This is where it ends up. So we can actually just put the little border inside just like this. And aside from moving this block, that should be all we really need to do in order to get this spot ready for the Pokemon Center. Here they come. All right, all 8 Pokemon are ready, and we will continue our endless quest to build Pokemon Centers. That's pretty much all we've done. All these poor Pokemon have done is helped me get everything I need to make the Pokemon Center, and then they've just been hard at work building it and unbuilding it and building it again. Anyway, I feel good about the decisions we made when it comes to the floor underneath the Pokemon Center, and now I'm not worried so much about exactly where paths fall, what I decide to do. Maybe I change this path. Maybe I change the borders of it. I have no idea. But now let's head over to our Dream Island for the day so we can get this out of the way. We need a bunch of supplies. I need everything. And for these first few days, these Dream Islands, especially new ones, are going to be very important. This one offers us vines and lepa berries and mushrooms. This is going to be a good one for, I guess, some of those softer materials. I'm really hoping it's a good one for our farming because I would love to have better food. Let's do our check for legendaries. No legendaries today. That's fine. We'll grab this cast form doll. Our free cast form doll we get on every island, and yeah, it's time to tear into some of these builds. There are a lot of wildflowers here, so I'm going to be bringing some of those back. We got some roses. I want to make sure I get all the new plants I possibly can along the way. And, oh, nice. Any items I can get? This is habitat info. I may have the recipe for each piece of furniture that's here, and that's one rare Pokemon. All right, good to know. And by now you kind of get the point, right? I don't need to bring you along for every minute of this. I'm going to loot buildings. I'm going to look for rare items. And I'm going to hopefully come away with a lot of good stuff. And one thing I like to do if I'm not going to take the trees with me is chop them down like this, because we're going to get leaves, we're going to get wood, we get to take the berries off of them. Be sure to grab your stumps and things like that for your collection log. This is a Chesto tree stump. It looks exactly the same as a Lepa tree stump, but they're two separate stumps for the collection log. I don't know if you know this, but anything you pick up like that goes in your collection log. And it is like a log that you actually fill out during the game. This is what mine is looking like. This is the all tab, so you can see all the different trees that I've pocketed at one point or another. Each type of grass has gone in my pockets at one point. This moss. Here's our stumps. We got the Lepa tree stump. Evil log. I'm not the biggest fan of the way they decided to do the collection log in this game, because literally everything you see is in that log. It wasn't enough to collect all the Pokemon in this game. No, we have to log every single pixel that the developers created. It's madness. Ooh, this island has a lot of boulders on it too. That's great. Each of those I think is worth like 4 stone. Here's our feather. Right by the ocean. Excellent. There's one more cave system I need to find before we go, and I got a couple more items hidden around here that I gotta find as well, but so far I haven't seen any ores or anything like that, so not a great island for those types of supplies, but like I said, this is like I called it the softer materials, like the ones that are, you know, more basic. That's what I should say. It's the more basic materials on the Eevee Island. Another gold ball. Let's see what this is. It's more habitat information. Oh, I thought I already had this habitat logged, but nope, this is the recital stage. Awesome. I just got the recipe for the microphone today, so perfect timing. Ooh, I found gravel. Okay, so I've been complaining about this for a while. Gravel is such a nice block, and one that I find to be incredibly rare. I only ever see it in small bits in caves or underneath water. And maybe I'm underneath some water right now and I'm about to flood the area, but look, I finally have some gravel. This is awesome. I was trying to think of what I wanted to be on the edges of my paths in the city, and this is exactly the kind of block that would be perfect for what I'm trying to do. I'm also finding a lot of copper too, which is great. There is a limit to how many blocks can sit on the ground. I don't exactly know what it is, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick up these now before they start despawning. And we have a ton of gravel just above us. Again, there could be water up there. I'm gonna take the risk. I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna look up and just do this. I'm getting the alert that our Pokemon Center was moved as well. Wow, this has been a pretty productive day so far. As far as I'm aware, this is not a block you can craft. I think it's in the same category as like dirt and grass. It's just a thing that naturally spawns, and maybe you get it, maybe you don't. I've never seen it out in the wild to this degree before, certainly not in this capacity. So like, I'm very, very excited to have, you know, the opportunity to grab some of this. Okay, so I'm obviously not grabbing every single gravel block that there is, but I managed to get a lot with my rock smash where it is at right now. It just feels wasteful. Gravel is not a block that you need really high rock smash for, but still, this is great. How many blocks is this? We have 4 stacks, almost 5 stacks of gravel, and still more to collect. That should be more than enough for this initial first city that we're building. Well, I think we are good to head back home and start laying out the rest of our city. I say the rest. Start laying out the majority of our city center. This is gonna be probably a larger project than just like, oh yeah, we'll quickly lay out a whole city today. As you can see, this area here still has the PC where the Pokemon Center used to be, but our Pokemon Center over there is done. So what's going to happen is I'm going to run over here and reveal it, and all of that stuff there will disappear. And it'll just be like a plot of, I imagine, whatever wood is underneath it. What I'm going to try to do is like turn around and look to see how that stuff despawns, if it despawns. If I just talk to Machop, oh no, it moved my camera. Oh, I wanted to see what would happen. Okay, no, the screen goes black. I thought it would maybe like Thanos snap out of existence, but it's not going to show us or give us the satisfaction. But there we go. The PC is moved. The Pokemon Center is once again complete for the second time on day 2. Let's sort our inventory and see that we have a stack and a half of stone and, gosh, how much gravel did we end up with? We ended up with like 6 stacks almost. That is impressive work and exactly what I love to see, because we have a huge project ahead of us and I don't have the blocks that I want, or I didn't have the blocks that I want, and now I do. Now that we have this gravel, I am able to add what I will call a sidewalk of sorts and make it purely out of gravel. Wow, it even has a different sound when you place it down. That is awesome. So this little gravelly sidewalk is going to be the accent to all of our paths here in town. And I'm placing it down now because it's going to help us determine the plot sizes of our grid. Oh yeah, I love the way that looks. It's so good. Okay, so our plots need to be a certain width, right? And I also think that we're gonna need to account for the big roads I was talking about too. Okay, so what we're gonna do is continue our path that's 4 tiles wide in this direction and in this direction. We're going to create kind of like a 3-way intersection here by the Pokemon Center, and we're going to leave room for these path borders too. So this is actually a 6-tile wide endeavor. And we're going to go across this way for a little bit. And we'll also start adding in the grass blocks to flatten some stuff out, because we're going to bring a road in this direction as well. We'll head out this way for a little bit. And this is just kind of an indicator of a road. It's not really a road to anything. I don't have any plans just yet. But getting these in is important, because now I'm going to be able to focus on getting my plots going, you know, away from the Pokemon Center kind of figured out. Now, at the time of recording this, over on my main save, I'm working on a very similar project whereby I've set up these plots and I've kind of created a grid for a town or a city. And for that one, I believe I made each space 12 tiles by 12 tiles. So like the empty space that a building could sit in was only 12 by 12, which is kind of small. I think for this one, I would like to go slightly larger and maybe try on 16 by 16 for size. So this would be one corner. This would be another corner. Then there's this corner. And then the one over here where I need to extend the path a little bit more to have it meet, but it's about right there. I'll have to craft up some more paths, but you get the picture. So this was actually, exactly where it needed to go. And yeah, as you can see, 16 by 16 is a rather large plot of land. Very, very big. But I think it's a lot of space for one of two things. Either one nice big skyscraper kind of building, or maybe multiple smaller houses sharing one spot, which is something I can see doing. Maybe like splitting that lot size into halves or quadrants would be pretty good. It would still be decently sized lots for various projects. Additionally, there's no reason I can't also make plots that are 12 by 12, for example. This just kind of gives me some options, right? I think having a variety of plot sizes would be more realistic anyway if we're doing like a grid style city. Not everything is going to be like, you know, the same exact size everywhere. I like symmetry and all, but that doesn't mean every number has to match up perfect. Anyway, we will have to do some more terraforming, so let me go ahead and level off some more land, and this will allow me to put down another plot right across the street from our first one. Also, I'm realizing I never found any other crops today, which is a bit of a shame. So my dreams of cooking burgers anytime soon kind of dashed. I should double check the Pokemon Center just to make sure that there's not like bean seeds just sitting there waiting for me to buy. And it's a good thing I'm checking because I have a bunch of money waiting for me in here, which is very helpful. And scrolling down, I'm seeing cooking supplies like the cutting board and stuff. Also smelting furnaces. We should probably set some of those up today, by the way. Some prefab kits and stuff like that. Ah, and bags of bean seeds. Okay. actually perfect. Okay, we'll go plant those. But so far, yes, this is what we have in terms of plots. We have 2 massive 16 by 16 plots, perfect for really big buildings or a few small buildings. And from here, now I'm trying to decide, do I want to now shrink the plots a little bit and do smaller, like 12 by 12 plots with maybe some other tiny plots behind them for smaller prefab homes. As I ponder that, let me go plant my new crops. Same design as before. We'll just plant 8 for now. Just keep it nice and simple because I'm probably going to find a better spot to put farms in the future. I could plant more, but I just don't want it cluttering up the place. I'll go get some water. I'll get these planted. This time I have Bulbasaur with me too to try and speed up some growth on these crops. There are certainly better Pokemon for the job when it comes to growing crops. When it comes to Bulbasaur, there's better Pokemon for literally any occasion. But, you know, he's kind of right there. So I just said, sure, come along. Let's do it. Ooh, a carrot. Nice. Okay, we have a free carrot and tons of seeds that we can plant. All right, and the work has begun on getting these to sprout. So tomorrow I should have, well, I already have potatoes, but tomorrow I should have beans as well, which means I'll be able to make myself some burgers potentially, and I'll have some good food for going back into the Dream Island. That, of course, assumes I'll have like a kitchen set up by then, so no promises. After some thought, though, I think, yeah, I will challenge myself to make the plots now a bit different in size. So next to the 16 by 16 plot, we're going to put a road and then a 12 by 12. And that should add or encourage diversity in terms of like building sizes and shape and things like that. One thing I learned about making projects like this come to life when it comes to games like Pokopia that have prefab buildings with different dimensions is that when you're doing your roads, it is fun to have like a number and you stick to it, right? So in this case, this road is 4 tiles wide plus little borders, and that's an even number for things like the Pokemon Center. But there are other things in Pokopia that kind of like you have to deal with, such as buildings that are odd numbers if you use prefabs. And I found that having side streets that swap from being an even number to an odd number helps give you a little more flexibility. So we're going to do side roads that are 3 tiles wide with a border. That's going to look like this, and it kind of works because 3 tiles is the maximum for how wide a road can be if you want to just do it in one swipe, which is kind of cool. And then we'll place our border down like this. I suppose if I want to be really wacky, I could go out of my way to make the plots an odd number, like 11 or 9 blocks by 9 blocks. I don't feel like that's necessary, though, because what I'm probably going to do is if a building doesn't fit in there perfectly, it's just an excuse to kind of make a little yard or something for that building. So it's not a huge deal if the plots don't perfectly house, say, a prefab building or something like that. I'm not going to worry about that. What bothers me more than anything is just when entrances don't line up with paths in a way that I expect them to. So that is why I'm doing things this way. Oops, and I already messed up because this needs to be a border right here. So the way to think about all this is that all of my main roads that lead to, you know, I guess really important places are going to be wider than the side roads that lead to maybe smaller locations such as parks or structures. I've happened upon my first fairly big obstacle with this build, and it's this pond. I love a natural little pond, but my city is probably going to come out over this thing, and I'm going to have to do a lot of terraforming to like get everything raised up. And oh my gosh, okay, maybe this is the first time we after this point in the path here where we actually work with the terrain and have it step down. I don't know, we'll see. Let's actually grab this, by the way. I have not done enough checking for sparkling areas and things like that. I got to get mysterious slates. I got to find recipes. Ooh, we got bags of wheat seeds from this. That's awesome. All right, let's put some markers for this plot, though. Okay, so this is what a 12 by 12 path or building plot looks like, with each of these corners representing the corner of the building, if I were to build like a big square building here. And as you can see, we still have some building right here on the 16 by 16 side. And so in my head, I'm thinking we could take this path and bring it up behind this building plot here. That could be pretty interesting. Off of this path, we could have a smaller grid start to form. And ideally, if this pond wasn't here and all this land was kind of raised up to this level, we could have a bunch of little buildings back here. So this will be a 12 by 12, and then over here would be a 12 by 12. And the problem I'm having right now is just the amount of terraforming I'm having to do is, I would say, substantial at this point. And I am chronically low on food. I don't have powered up, attacks now when it comes to busting up stone and dirt. So I think what I'm going to do is move on to my final task of the day and come back to this layout tomorrow when I've recharged and I have a better chance of me being able to make better meals. That next task is to just explore the area by air and try and find stuff like this. New habitat information. This is for Clefairy, apparently. I didn't realize. Okay, nice. That's a pretty easy one to make. Glowing spots in the ground so we can find things like lost relics and hopefully some slates, because I'm trying to get all the slates before this 30 days is up. This is probably the goal I'm most afraid of achieving. I haven't gotten a single mysterious slate yet, and I realized it's because I didn't even try yesterday. And of course, we're looking for shimmering spots in the water, which we already found one today. I don't even know how many areas there are where they can be. Maybe they could be in the ocean. I usually see them in ponds. Go ahead and grab this. Unfortunately, this is another small relic, not a mysterious slate. Up here in this biome, by the way, it looks really cool. I know we have like these mountains with volcanic ash over them and stuff, and a lot of people remove the ash. I kind of like it. I kind of think it kind of has a neat vibe. Oh, wow. The environment level increased too. That's fantastic. I think that we end up building at some point like a really big, or I don't know, a modestly sized like mountain town up here. Maybe we make use of all the cabins and stuff and make this area look, I don't know, like just a little cabin forest area. My vocabulary today is not very good. All right. But cabin forest area is the best I got for you. We got a shield fossil head from this one, and that's good. That's probably my favorite fossil out of all of them. I think it looks so goofy. I love it. Got an exploding one here, and that's going to be a large relic. Usually the exploding ones for me are always large relics. Let me know if you've had something different happen to you. In the tropical biome, we have a pond, and this pond happens to have a shimmering area in it, so we'll go get this. And we got a recipe for a plain stool. Okay. I think I picked the worst time of day to come out here looking for this, and I'm also in the worst biome. The sun is just at that point in the day where things get really, really bright, and looking for glowing spots in the ground when things are really bright is not smart. That's not when you want to be looking for glowing spots in the ground. So we found a few, which is good, but I might need to just let that be enough. Maybe I play a little bit tonight off camera and look for some more. Let's see what this is. It's something good, apparently. A new recipe, perhaps? Yes, cyber flooring. Okay, I really wanted that for my single player area, so I'm glad I got that just now. And we kind of made a loop around the entire island. I'm back home now. Actually, speaking of home, I don't have one. And it's probably going to be a few days before I make myself one. I'm way more focused on just getting the city structure kind of planned out. I'm not super focused on my own well-being. But despite that, the environment level continues to go up and is now level 4. This means we have some new quests we can turn in, like gathering up some copper. Wow, lots of money there. And new stuff in the shop as well. And we really lucked out with the timing here, because as it was showing me all the things, it gave me tomato seeds. So I'm going to purchase these, and we're going to plant these as well. And that means I found wheat today already too. We can plant these. That means I have all the crops available to me. So all I'm going to need to do next time is make a kitchen for myself. I mean, I guess I'm assuming that all these crops are going to be fully grown by tomorrow, which is actually not likely, if I remember right. If you're going from sprouts, even if you have a Pokemon help you fertilize them, maybe it takes 2 days. I don't know. Or maybe we're going to come back and they'll be almost grown, and then we'll get a grass-type Pokemon to finish growing them. I'm going to remain hopeful that tomorrow we end up with at least a little bit of every crop. We'll get all our water placed in the trenches here, and we'll plant our tomatoes and wheat. By the way, I don't talk about it often, but the channel is nearing 100,000 subscribers. We're getting there. I don't know if we can do it by the end of the year, but I figured I would mention it, because if you're watching this late into the video and you plan on watching the full 30-day series, maybe subscribing would make it more convenient for you to find the new episodes. I don't know. It'd be cool to have you along for that journey. If you've already subscribed, thank you, because that's just really awesome. It's really cool. The channel's been around for a while, and it's cool to see it growing like this, so just thanks. All right, all these crops are ready to go, and hopefully we'll have a full kitchen by tomorrow that I can use to make food and actually get some real work done. Not that we didn't get real work done today. I mean, look at this. The progress today is still pretty impressive. We have like the start of our city kind of planned out. I was hoping for some more finished plots, but this is good. This is 4 plots kind of planned out with opportunities to expand into either direction. And if I get the food tomorrow, I'll be able to do a lot more terraforming. We'll get this flattened out a bit more, and heck, maybe we'll even work with the terrain and not fight against it. Who knows? Tomorrow's episode is on screen now if it's ready, and I will see you then.